So I don't see that as a miracle, because I had to work damn hard to make sure that happened. Right? I wasn't just lying there in bed thinking, oh, I hope this goes away, I hope this goes away. It took me years to figure that out. And there is far more to this planet than just us humans here. So that's why things like the astrophysics I'm interested in. My daughter's interested. She's 10, so she comes on the show and asks questions. She gets to ask questions of people who've been nominated for the Nobel Prize, and she's 10. That's a pretty cool thing to do, right? Our body has all the chemicals we need to fix whatever's going on in our body. Okay, we have we are the best chemist that we can possibly ever go to already exists in our body, controlled by a supercomputer in our head and in our gut. For me, I was fortunate. I know people who haven't been as fortunate, who haven't survived, and their diagnosis was worse, and other people whose diagnosis was far worse and have survived. I know people who've had 6 months, terminal diagnosis with 6 months, and they're still here 10 years later because they've gone out to work out what it is. But they couldn't rely on Western medicine to fix it because they were told we can't. I've met many amazing people who have been through a healing journey, have come out the other side as better people. We actually come out as better people because all of the stress and trauma that we carried with us, which I believe helped manifest these illnesses, we've had to work on, because if we don't work on them, it's like whack-a-mole, it's going to come up somewhere else. So I believe it's a total immersion into mind, body, soul connection, and then that's how we get better. One of my guests in America is a very well-known leadership coach, and he reckons that every startup founder should get therapy.
Right.
Because what we see in startup founders and entrepreneurs is we see this, hard-charging, energetic, incredibly driven, incredibly optimistic journey. But many people with those attributes and traits have an underlying trauma somewhere in their life that they're running from or suppressing, and this intensity which they're creating is managing that. And then what happens is when things don't start going wrong, these little emotional triggers start popping up and the wheels start falling off. So their belief is every startup founder should have counseling. And to be honest, there is truth in that, and we can laugh about it, but probably 40% of all the people I work with require some form of emotional counseling as a result of the business journey or that life journey that they're on. So, there is a huge connection between the two. And I think one of the things we're trying to do is take away the stigma from, we have good days and bad days, right? Everyone does, but we need to understand why we have bad days. Well, then we can minimize the impact of those bad days.
So when you say good days and bad days, do you mean in terms of their business or their life or both?
Well, business has good days and bad days.
I guess so.
we don't just get it. You can ask Branson or anyone else out there. You don't get a clear run at anything in life. Because what I see with many people is they get to a certain size, maybe they get to $1 million or $2 million in revenue, and they start changing. And they recognize they start changing. Like, I'm no longer the happy person I was before. I'm no longer this person because I've now got these other priorities. I'm now making more money and got more staff, and I've got different stress. And they recognize that. And so they come and say, okay, well, I know that's happening. I don't know necessarily, I think I know why it's happening, but I don't like it. So can you come and help me unpack that, and so that we can create this culture which allows everyone to thrive, and so that they can to tap into their own awareness of when these emotional triggers or stress triggers are popping up. So you get to catch a breath before them and go, okay, right, I'm feeling like that. I did that. That wasn't good. Why am I doing that? I need to get some help. Put my hand up. Go and do the work. Find a mentor. Find a coach. Do the work, and then let the business grow. It's like they know they have all the knowledge with what they do, but they can't execute it. And they can't execute it because there's something internally holding them back from executing it. And that's where the deep work's done. And that's to me, that's the exciting part, because when you see people begin to understand that and change that, right, and they start getting out of their brains more into their hearts and their sentient feeling self, then the change starts to happen. And the smile returns to their face, and they go, I get it. This is hard work, but I get it. Now I can actually have that thing that I want. I can actually touch it now, as opposed to just, it's like the dream and the vision. It's like there, but I can never quite get it. I want them to actually get it. I've worked with many founders where the business is fine, but the founder isn't. As a result, the business ends up not being fine.
From that point on, I guess you take on more of a life coach role then rather than business consultant.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you can call it a life coach, a business coach. It's really, I call myself a trainer or a transition coach, transformation coach. You're basically helping people get from A to B, whatever that happens to be, whether it's their career, whether it's their business. It's helping them understand all the skills that they need to do it, and actually where to go and find the people who can help them, and how to do the deep work. But yeah, some people will call it life coaching, but it's really 25 years of my experience as a business owner, and also having had a significant event in my life, which wasn't a pleasant one, and working out, right, I need to do a deep dive in there so I can actually now do the stuff I really want to do the rest of my life. Because my business was incredibly successful. I was very wealthy, but I wasn't happy. Internally, I wasn't happy. And that's what I see. And it's like, okay, well, you have the right to have wealth and love and health, right? We have the right to have all of that. But many people have one, but not all three. It's like there's no point being an amazing person at work if your marriage is falling to pieces or you don't see your children. There's no point having incredible wealth if you've got nothing to share it with, right? Or there's no point having an incredible family and support if you go to work and you just feel crushed at the end of every day. And it's really getting to open up, to be honest with themselves, and to be, the first step is accountability. It's like, I own my choices. Okay, I had a tech company, it cost me $1 million. I own that. I can blame it on 1,000 people, but that's my choice. I stuffed up, right? Till I can really own that, I can't move on. After you put someone who's in a toxic job, they might be in a toxic job, but the person sitting next to them might thoroughly enjoy that environment because they're just in the wrong environment. They made the wrong choices. They maybe don't have a mission in life. They're not connecting to anything. So we look at that and say, okay, well, is it the industry? Is it the job? Is it you? Generally, it's a mixture of all of them. Okay, and then if that is, how do we prevent you from doing that again? So it's a process, and sometimes they need to seek professional help. They need to see a psychologist or psychotherapist, or if they want to go and see an energy healer, if that's what they believe in, they can do that, or they can take whatever route they want. So my role is really just to support them in that journey, knowing that someone's got their back, to help them unpack what the problem is, and then I'll point them in the right direction of who's going to solve that problem. It's either going to be me or me and a combination of other people. Oh, well, we can't really talk about favourites, because if I ask you who's your favourite guest, everyone's going to say, I'm never coming on your show, Sam. That's not fair. You can't ask questions like that. Dr. Stephen Gundry I spoke to a couple of weeks ago. He's a well-celebrated nutritionist, used to be a cardiac surgeon, but he is changing the way that people think about diet, nutrition, and cardiac and autoimmune diseases through his own experimentation. So he's challenging the cutting edge of medicine. So he gets a lot of pushback from that. But you can see it. So I followed a similar prescribed method and I got better. But he is very happy knowing that he's gone from being a celebrated surgeon to a nutritionist, right? Totally differently. And you see the impact. Then I had another friend of mine, Radley Spring, who's a world champion athlete. And he, we talk about the mindset of winning. And when he was 18, 19, 20, being a world champion, a lot of ego, a lot of immaturity, he wouldn't listen to anybody, right? But he was still a world champion. Whereas now, 20 years later, he's experimenting. Well, he recognizes the holistic training for Olympians, and he trains Olympians. The whole process has changed. So when you see people go on a totally different journey, that's fascinating. And then, I had a couple of scientists, one, an astrophysicist called Professor Jo Dunkley, is one of the youngest professors ever at Oxford. She's now at Princeton. She's a female scientist, but she's got so much incredible energy. I just loved having that conversation with her. Sharing her knowledge about the world was incredible. But I mean, there are many of them for different reasons. And you get to, and so, then if I want to learn about marketing, I've had the number one SEO guy on the planet talking to me about that. If I want to learn about branding, David Breyer is reckoned by Google to be the number one branding guy on the planet, number 3 by clout. He has all of the most celebrated business people like Damon John from Shark Tank in the US endorsing his books. I get to spend an hour with him. That's pretty cool, right? I don't have to pay for it. So I don't want, there aren't favorites, but there are memorable moments and you know, people who change the way that you think about things. I had a guy called Philip Stutz, who's just been on Stephen Gundry's podcast as well, who's political marketer in the States, won 4 US presidential elections for his clients, for over 2,000 individual campaigns. He has an incurable esophageal disease, which means that he can't, it got to a stage where he was hypermedicated, couldn't swallow food, drink pretty much anything. And he was told that that'll be it forever. He's now working with Stephen. He's no longer in his meds. He's doing a stem cell research trial. That's incredible. But he's known as this very well-known political consultant, but in the background, he's got all of these other things. And he said, I was a complete mess, and I lost my marriage, and lost everything else, until I actually did the deep work to work out what's going on. And so it's people like that I love working with, because that ownership of what's happened, the rest of the world sees this public facade of what's going on, and then there's all this pain which is going on, and their recognition that they can change that and they want to share that inspires other people to go, I can do this as well.
So where do you see yourself, I guess, maybe in the next 5 years or so? Would you want to keep doing this? Or?
Yeah, so I'm building an academy. I'm building a training academy. So it has 2 limbs, really. One is training people to how to find, in the world that we live in with the gig economy. One of the other questions I get asked the most is, how do I find a new job? How do I do this? Because the training isn't out there. There is from recruitment agencies, headhunters, but not for the general public. And the people just don't know what to do. The world is changing. So I'm building a training academy to help them in the full suite of, you know, how do I find a job in the world that we're in today? But also bringing in business leaders as well if they want to do startup world. So that's, you know, a sort of technical training. And then the other stuff which I'm doing is the podcasting, writing the books, and then starting to have courses and retreats for the people who want to do the more deep immersive work, which is, I really want this. This is where I'm at life. I don't necessarily like what I've got at the moment, or I don't like who I am, or I know there's something I'm nagging. How do I get from A to B? How do I get out of the other side, knowing that I can have the life that I truly want? Well, the first thing is you need to understand what it is you want to do. So we talk a lot about passion and purpose. You hear that everywhere today, right? Passion. You've got to find your passion. You've got to find your purpose. To me, I interject mission into that. A mission to me is more important than passion and purpose. So what I mean by that is find your mission. So the reason that someone deeply unhappy and someone deeply happy in the same work environment is the person who's decided, right, I don't want to do this in 12 months time or 18 months time. I'm not necessarily sure what I want to do, but I don't want to do this anymore. So I have a mission that I'm going to learn everything I possibly can. I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to find a coach. I'm going to find a mentor. I'm going to immerse myself in books and training and learning. You know, come on my course, go on someone else's course, go on lots of different courses, because in 18 months or 12 months, I know I'm going to make that change. That is incredibly empowering and energy. It creates a lot of energy around that. So the first thing is find yourself a mission. Okay, whatever that mission is okay. Could be relationships, it could be job, it could be building a business. Get yourself a mission, right? And then start taking action every day, little steps towards that, which is find a mentor, find a coach, start taking some courses, exploring it. If you want to set up a side gig, start doing that, okay? Talk to people about that. Actually start experimenting, start exploring, because it's all very well to think about what you might do, but if no one's supporting you to do that and you're not taking any action, you can't get anywhere, okay? So first thing, have a mission, okay? Find a coach, find a mentor, accept complete accountability and responsibility for what you've done in your life to date. No blame. Don't blame yourself. Definitely don't blame yourself. No judgment on yourself, but we don't blame anyone else. Once we can get into those 3 simple steps, then we start to move forward. Well, I think it's our divine right on this planet as humans to be happy and to be able to attain what we seek, to take the action, to be kind. There's only one rule in my life, and that's be kind. It's very simple. Just be kind to people. So a right is like an inalienable human right. We have a right in the Western world for no one to hurt us, right? That's one of our rights. We have an absolute divine right to go out there and through our own choices create a life where we can thrive. We have a right to thrive in life. Surviving is not good enough. Surviving to me is not acceptable. We have the right to thrive. Okay. Life is full of ups and downs, so that's one of our rights. Responsibilities are, to me, responsibilities are, as I'm a parent, so I have responsibilities to my family. As a business owner, I have responsibilities to staff. But we have a deeper responsibility to leave the planet better than the place that we found it in. And to me, that's the difference between the right, which is the right to go and do something, right, for ourselves, and then responsibilities to make sure that we've done that with kindness, and we've left it better than how we found it.
Hey everyone, thanks for hanging with us on the Convo couch, and thank you to Ed for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. It's been great fun.
Don't forget to check out the links below to the Human Impact podcast and subscribe too. See you next time.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ed Andrew. Great pleasure to be here today with Zan, talking about business growth, personal growth coaching, entrepreneurship. I'm the host of the Human Impact podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, your favorite podcast channel. I'm also the founder and CEO of the Human Consultancy, which is a trading academy. And what we do is bring humanity back to work and life. So I've been a founder, business owner for the best part of 20 years. I've grown 4 different companies on 4 continents in 4 different industries: recruitment, technology, training, fashion, e-commerce. I've grown to 8 figures, and I've also 8 figures in revenue, 7 figures in profits. I've also had a business which cost me $1 million. So I've sort of seen the highs and lows of business. But it's great to be here today, and thank you so much for coming and listening.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below, and also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!